You've been reading the international press, and today tensions between Russia and the West over Ukraine continue to be the leading story.
That's right. Let's take a look at the front page of the Wall Street Journal, for instance, which talks about how Crimea is moving ahead with a secession vote. And another thing that the Wall Street Journal is focusing on today is just how the U.S. is responding to all this. And unsurprisingly, in its editorial, it's pretty critical of Barack Obama for his response, or what rather they see as a lack of response. And according to the Wall Street Journal, it's too bad because the U.S. actually has a very important card in its hand that it could play, and that is America's oil and gas leverage. Now, the U.S. is experiencing an energy revolution, says the Wall Street Journal, largely due to explorations in shale gas, and this could really shift the balance in energy power. Now, the Wall Street Journal says that a president with a keener strategic mind would unleash North America's oil and gas on the world, and this would reduce Putin's influence. And it calls on the president to really stop being so obsessed with the environment and to lift restrictions on gas exports. Now, it's interesting because the New York Times, for once, is kind of on the same page as the conservative Wall Street Journal. In its editorial, it also focuses on natural gas as a diplomatic tool, but it's a lot more measured. It says that it's true that the U.S. really could export more natural gas to Europe, which could undercut Russia's influence, but this should just be one component of diplomacy. It says that the U.S. should also assist nations with conservation and renewable energy as well.
But it has to be said, the U.S. is actually pondering using liquefied natural gas as a diplomatic tool, but this would only work in the medium to long term. It can't be leveraged in the very short term, at any rate. A lot of papers, meanwhile, are focusing on what's driving Russian President Vladimir Putin.
That's right. Now, a lot of papers are saying it might be actually an emotional response, which I found interesting. I pulled out two articles. The first one is from the International New York Times that says that it's a sense of betrayal that's driving Putin. Putin felt betrayed by the way the Maidan standoff went down at the end. He felt betrayed by not only the way security forces withdrew from Kiev, but he also felt betrayed by the West, and that's why he's responding in this way. Mary Dejevsky from The Independent also says that emotions could be at play here. This aggression is more a cry to be heard than an attempt to invade a sovereign nation. Basically, this is kind of a tantrum. Russia has been upset over the past couple of years, felt humiliated and double-crossed, for instance, by the expansion of NATO. This is not an all-out attempt to reconstitute the Soviet Union. What Russia really wants is to be treated as a participant with a seat at the table. So it's an interesting point of view from The Independent. Now, going back to the International New York Times, I pulled out a cartoon that tries perhaps to see the lighter side of all this, the lighter side of Russia's naked aggression. Basically, you can see Vladimir Putin there in boxer shorts. And China Daily, also another cartoon, its take on the whole thing. Basically, it thinks this whole crisis is basically just a show of force, and you can see both Putin and Obama flexing their muscles and Ukraine squashed in the middle there.
And staying with China Daily, it's continuing to focus on the ongoing National People's Congress in Beijing.
That's right. The Congress addressed the issue of pollution, and you can look at that on the front page of China Daily today. Top leaders reiterated their concerns for the pollution, and they called on technology to be used to help battle China's air pollution. For instance, China is soon going to start testing a certain drone that will clear smog. I can't wait to hear more about just how this drone works. Now, in its editorial, China Daily talks about cleaning up the environment and also the need to clear up the government. It calls for
Are they using a drone for that?
I don't know if they're using a drone for that, perhaps. Maybe it's a secret. But they're talking about a reform in governance today, which is quite interesting for China Daily because it usually doesn't really address these issues of governance. So it says that the government needs to be more transparent. We'll see if that actually ever happens.
A piece about International Women's Day. That's tomorrow, Saturday. But today, a somewhat controversial film about women is coming out in India.
That's right. The Mumbai Mirror says that it's Pink Friday. Now, the film is called Gulab Gang, and Gulab is Hindi for pink or rose. And let's take a look at part of the trailer, and maybe it'll give you a hint at what this is about. So basically, this is a Bollywood film based on the real-life story of a woman named Sampat Paul. In 2006, she and a bunch of friends decided to form a vigilante group, and the aim was to protect women from abuse and violence. And so they would wear these pink saris and walk around with bamboo sticks and protect women. Now, she became somewhat of a national celebrity, and now this movie is about to come out. But She tried to stop the movie from coming out, and actually she went to court, and the High Court in Delhi just ruled that this movie can indeed come out. Now, the reason she wanted it not to come out is because she says that it's harmful for her reputation. She said it wrongly portrayed her. Now, the movie can come out, but there has to be a disclaimer saying it has nothing to do with her. But the cat's kind of already out of the bag so far.
Well, she does have a strong personality, Sampat Pal, and France 24 has actually reported on this issue, which is a real-life issue in India. And if you want to see the report on how it really goes down, as opposed to the Bollywood version, then you can find it on our website, the Pink Sorry Gang. All right, thank you very much. Florence Villeminot with a review of the international press. Thanks, and stay tuned to France 24. We have, as always, more news coming up.
The Observer's Direct.
Cambodia makes expensive jeans and t-shirts for sale in the richest countries of the world. But its textile workers have to subsist on pitiful wages. There are signs they've had enough. We joined our observer, Moses, in the Cambodian capital, Phnom Penh, where the textile workers are threatening revolt.
The Observer's Direct. En France 24 and France24.com.